Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become nice and comfortable in our seat, whether it's on a block or a pillow, towel, blanket, something that allows the back of your spine, back of your neck to sit nice and tall and straight, opening up your chest and opening up your diaphragm and opening up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders and soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is that it's a new Ayurvedic season. Ayurveda is the sister science to yoga, which focuses on 3 doshas or energies. There's a Pitta dosha, there's a Vata dosha, and a Kapha dosha. Claire Ragazzino explains it beautifully in her book, Living Ayurveda. It's a really nice book. If you're interested in Ayurveda. She says, spring is Kapha season. The heavy, slow, cool qualities and wet weather of late winter and early spring, what we Vermonters call mud season, welcome a lightness into our food, breath, and movement practices to balance and brighten Kapha. We select food and adopt a lifestyle that will reduce the increased elements of earth and water. There he is. To stay balanced in spring, we emphasize food that is light, cleansing, warm, and freshly cooked with raw greens, sprouts, warm grains, legumes, pungent spices, bitter vegetables, and astringent herbs. Room temperature or hot beverages are also a great thing to have in the spring. For our breath, we focus on invigorating and energizing breath practices that break up stagnation in the chest. We do regular breathing that expands the lungs, rib cage, and emphasizes longer exhales. To stay balanced in the spring, we also emphasize movement. So try steady, strengthening, vigorous, and heating asana with longer held poses. And for our meditation, meditations should be light and lively, energizing, and expansive. So I'm actually going to get right into it this morning. So meet you on the mat. Little quick cameo by Oscar. So this is a pranayama that we have not done here, but I have done in other yoga classes, and I felt pretty awkward doing it at first, but I'm kind of used to it now, and I hope you just go with it. It's fun, but it addresses all the points that Claire was making about breath. It invigorates and energizes. It breaks up stagnation in the chest. It expands the lungs and rib cage, and it emphasizes longer exhales. So what is this breath? It's called lion's breath, and I think it's appropriate that, March coming in like a lion, which we will actually see in Vermont this weekend. It came in like a lamb earlier, but we're going to get that lion of March this weekend. It's also known in Sanskrit as Simha Pranayama, Simha, like the lion. So for lion's breath, we're going to do it a couple times. I'll demonstrate. You stick your tongue out, and you're going to do a big, and it's going to come the way, let's see, that I was wanting to explain it. It's carries your breath across the root of your tongue. That's what I wanted to emphasize. Carries the breath across the root of your tongue. So you're going to stick your tongue out, and you can make your eyes wide as you can, or even look up to the sky. So let's try it 3 times. So inhale, inhale, and inhale. So there you go, lion roaring, beginning of March. So we'll continue on with our traditional, what I call sun breath, and we'll do add the chest openers to that. So today we're going to be kind of light and lively. Again, the Kapha season is all about water and earth, so that kind of mud sticking down thick thing. So we're going to try to add other elements to balance. That's the whole thing, that's the whole deal with Ayurveda, is to balance. So if you have water and earth that weighs you down, you want fire and air to kind of balance that off. So we're going to do a lot of standing poses, some sun salutations in repetition to try to build up some heat. So let's start with our seated sun breath. So bringing our fingertips to the sides, and inhale, bringing our hands up overhead. Nice big inhale, and then exhale, bringing our hands together and then bringing them down to a heart center, and then opening them up wide on the inhale, and just bring them as far back as what's comfortable for you, and then bringing them back together on the exhale. Inhale up, and then exhale down. You'll let your hands just float back to the mat. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale up, exhale down, hands to heart center. Inhale, open, bringing them back, opening up your chest, opening up your heart, letting that oxygen in to your diaphragm. Exhale, bringing them back together again. Inhale up, and exhale down. Inhale up, hands together, exhale down. Inhale, open wide. Exhale, close. Inhale up. And exhale down. We're going to do some sun twists. So let's do where we're kind of creating a nice flow, bringing some air into the movement instead of just twisting to the side. So we're going to bring our hands up and then twist over to the side. I'm going to the left side, bringing your right hand down on your left kneecap, left hand right behind the hips, and then bringing your hands right back up. Keep that flow going. Twisting your torso over to the right, bringing your hands down, left hand lands on your right knee, right hand right behind your hips. And then inhale, sweeping up again. We'll flow over to the left side, bringing our hands down, and then right back up again into the flow. And then back down to the right. A couple more times, sweeping our hands up. Make that nice twist over to the left, bringing the hands down. And one last time over to the right, sweeping all the way up, reaching to the sky, and then bringing our hands back down. So now we're going to come up onto our hands and knees into tabletop. Tabletop, we have our fingers spread wide apart, gripping the mat. Just slightly add strength to our fingers. Wrists are right below our shoulders, and we're gently pushing down into the mat to create space between our shoulders and our ears. Giving that gentle pressure on the mat. Knees are right below our hips, navel's tucked to the spine to create a nice flat back. And we're going to just turn our head from side to side as if we were saying no. So send your gaze right down to the mat and then turn your gaze to the right gently and then come back. And then turn your gaze to the left and come back. And create a nice gentle flow at your own pace. Inhaling as you turn, exhaling as you come back. Inhale as you turn. Exhale, returning your gaze down. Inhale to the right. Exhale back down. Inhale to the left. And come back down. And we'll go into some cat-cows. So we'll round our back, dropping our head and tailbone down, exhaling as we go, really stretching the spine out, and then inhaling deeply as we raise our head to look straight ahead, sending our hip bones up and our tummy kind of arching our back a little bit, and then dropping our head back down, tailbone down, rounding the back with an exhale for cat. Inhale, lifting our head and tailbone up for cow. Just continue at your own pace, just really feeling that movement. Maybe you usually sync your breath to this movement. Maybe speed up the movement a little bit today. We want our movements to be invigorating, but it'll also give you the opportunity to bring more air into you. And then slow it down a little bit. And return to tabletop. We'll go into our bird dogs, bringing our knees together. Send a right leg up into the air so that it's about hip height, and try to keep your hip bones parallel to the mat. And we're pushing down, evenly distributing our weight in our hands, and then lifting our left hand up so that the arm is alongside our ear, pointing the toe on the inhale. Exhale, we're going to flex the toe. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. 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 Inhale, point. Exhale, flex, and bring both hand and knee back down. We'll do that on the other side. So again, bringing your left leg up, hip height, keeping your hip bones parallel. Checking in with your hands, making sure your weight's evenly distributed in both hands. And then lifting our right arm up alongside of our ear. Pointing the toe on the inhale. Flex on the exhale. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. 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 One more time. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex, and bring it back down. And we're going to try to keep those poses a little longer than normal. Build up some heat. And then we're going to bring where our hands are now on the mat, we're going to bring our elbows down to where our hands were, sending the fingers to the top of the mat, toward the top of the mat. So we're going to come into extended puppy. So we're going to walk our knees back to the point where you can comfortably bring your forehead or your third eye down to the mat, and your hip bones, tailbones, kind of sticking up in the air. And with downward dog, I should have Oscar come back in and demonstrate this pose. He does it beautifully. We're going to keep our chest off the mat, just the third eye, forehead is on the mat. And breathe into this pose. And then walk your knees back up and come back up to tabletop. And we're going to tuck our toes under and just lift our knees off the mat ever so slightly, maybe about 3 to 5 inches. Just hover here and just tuck that navel to the spine so you can feel the core working. And then gently lower back down to the mat. And we'll do this a couple more times. So lifting the knees off the mat. And you find that sweet spot that works for you. I think about 5 to 6 inches off the mat. Just want to feel it in the core, my glutes, and then back down. Knees coming back down. One more time. We'll lift back up and hold it here for a bit. And then come back down. Now we're gonna keep our toes tucked under, walk our hands back, come into the squat. We're on the balls of our feet. We'll push down and come up to mountain pose. So we'll start off by kind of just connecting to the earth. And today you can envision, if you want, we being in mud season, come and you lift your toes up and spread them apart as you do right now. Bring them down and kind of imagine that ooze of the mud coming through your toes and up. And then lifting your heels up off the mat. And then bringing your heels back down, settling into that mud. We've had quite a year with mud season already. So we're on our third or fourth mud season from what I've been told by people who live in dirt roads. So with our toes pointing toward the top of the mat or flat side of the mat, our legs are nice and straight and strong. Gentle bend in the knees, navel's tucked to the spine. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Crown of our head is reaching up to the sky. We'll come above mud season. We'll just soar above it. So we're gonna bring our arms up overhead. Hands come together, and then we're gonna bring our hands down to the mat, down to the floor, bending our knees as we go to support our lower back. Let me just check in here for a moment. See how you're doing today. Are you feeling light? Are you feeling kind of heavy? And then we'll bring our hands up to our shins. Then we'll slide our hands all the way up to the tops of our thighs, sending our elbows back of us. It's kind of like a little chicken wing. Gaze is straight down, half forward fold. And then slide our hands all the way back down, dropping the crown of our head down to the mat, toward the mat, not on the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up. We're gonna bring them up overhead and rise up onto our tippy toes. And then come back down, bringing our hands down, lowering our heels back down to the mat. We'll do that several more times. Inhale, sweeping our hands up, coming up onto the tippy toes. And then slowly bringing your hands back down. Heels come back down. Nice, one even flow. One more time, sweeping our hands all the way up. Up overhead. And then coming back down. And the hands will come all the way back down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go. And then hands come back to the shins, half forward fold. You can keep your hands on the shins, really flattening out your back, or send your hands all the way up to the tops of your thighs again, really emphasizing that nice, long, straight spine. And then slide the hands down to the mat, dropping the crown of your head down. And sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Our hands will come together. And we're going to interlace our fingers, all except the index fingers, which will stay pointing up to the sky. So we have interlaced fingers with our index finger extended to the sky. We'll do some side stretches. So we're going to bump our hip out to the left and tip over toward the right. And just tip until you find that sweet spot, listening to your breath. Breath should be nice and even flow, come back up. And then we'll tip over to the left, kind of bump our right hip to the right and tip over to the left. Keeping your index finger extended as far out as possible. And then back up. One more time to the right. And listening to your breath, finding that even flow, not shallow flow. Back up, straight up. And pointing our fingers straight up and then tipping over to the left. And then back up again. Bring our hands all the way back down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, bringing your hands to your shins. And slide your hands all the way up again if you like. Really flattening out your back. And then slide them back down, all the way down to the floor, crown of your head reaches toward the ground. And sweep your hands all the way up again. Hands come up overhead. And then hands come down so that they're just straight out in front of you at shoulder height. We're going to do our 180 twists. So trying to keep your hip bones facing forward. We're going to take the right arm and make a nice 180 degrees half circle to the back, bringing our left hand to our right shoulder. And we're going to follow our right fingers with our eyes. And then bring the right hand all the way back, that semicircle. And then joining the left hand to it. We'll do that on the other side. Again, try and keep your hip bones forward. We're going to take that 180 degrees, keeping our eyes on our left hand. Right hand comes to the left shoulder. And then bringing that left hand back to the front, joining it with the right hand. We'll do that again on each side. So again, with the right hand, following it with your eyes, bringing it to the back. And then come back to the front, bring both hands together. And now on the left, following your eyes on your left hand. And then coming back to center. We'll sweep our hands up over our head. Nice big stretch and bringing down to the ground, bending your knees as you go. Bring your hands to your shins, again, sliding them up to the tops of your thighs if you like. Gaze is straight down, really straightening out that spine, the back of your neck. And then sliding the hands down, crown of your head goes down toward the mat. And sweeping the hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then palms come to the back of your hips for supported back bend. Palms are right on the back of your hips. Shoulders are gently rolled back. Chin is tucked slightly toward your chest. And then just gently lower your shoulders back. Again, finding that sweet spot where your breath is nice, even flow still. Nice warm up for Cobra. You can come back up now. Well done so far. We're going to do the sun salutation several times, and then we'll go into other standing poses, and we'll do that on both sides. So we're going to sweep our hands up overhead, really stretching up to the sky, And then bringing our hands down to the mat. Inhale, bringing them to the shins, half forward fold. And then bringing them back down to the mat and you step both feet back, coming into plank pose. And just check in with your plank pose. Wrists are right below your shoulders. Fingers are spread, gripping the mat. Navel's tucked to the spine. Heels are pushing toward the back of the mat. And then we come down to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows tucked to your side, pushing off your toes. Keeping your hands right under your shoulders. We're gonna come up to cobra, okay, keeping your elbows tucked toward your ribs. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up, come into downward dog. Settle out here for just a moment. And then you can either walk or send your foot all the way up, kind of into a lunge to bring yourself back to forward fold. So you can walk your feet all the way up to your hands or take your right foot and bring it between your hands and then bring your left foot along with it. So we're all going to end up in forward fold. And then sweep our or bring our hands rather to our shins for half forward fold. And then hands go down to the mat and then sweep all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. So we'll do that a couple more times. So inhale, do a little faster. Inhale, hands go up, really stretching up to the sky. Hands come down to the mat. Bend your knees. Inhale, half forward fold. Hands to shins. Then hands down to the mat. Stepping your feet back to plank. Really sending the heels to the back of the mat. Navel's tucked to the spine. Knees, chest, chin as you lower, or chaturanga as you lower to the mat. Elbows tucked to the side. Up to cobra, lifting your chin and chest up, keeping your elbows tucked to your side, and then tucking your toes under, lifting your hips up to the sky for downward dog. Pedal out here for just a quick moment. And then either walk or bring your right foot up between your hands and then bring your left foot up to join it. We'll both end up in forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. Take a deep breath. Inhale, sweep our hands up. Overhead, stretching to the sky. Oop, I think I forgot something. Anyway, hands come back down to the mat. Inhale, hands come to your shins. Hands back down to the mat. Step back to plank. Keeping your elbows tucked to the side. Knees, chest, chin down to the mat. Or chaturanga. Then push up into cobra. Tuck toes under, come into downward dog. Pedal out for just a quick moment. And then walk or send your right foot up between your hands, joining it with the left. Bringing your hands to your shins, half forward fold, straightening out that back. And then hands back down to the mat. Sweeping your hands all the way up to the sky. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then we're going to turn to the right, coming into a wide-legged stance. So our toes are going to be pointing toward the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in at 45 degrees. We're going to sweep our hands up into a star position. And then bring our hips down toward the mat, bending our knees and bending our elbows, coming into goddess. And then while we're in goddess, we're going to lift our left heel up and bring it back down. Lift our right heel up and bring it back down. And then lift both heels up and bring them back down. Do that a couple more times. Left heel up and then down. Right heel up and then down. Both heels up and down. One last time. Left heel up and down. Right heel up and down. Both heels up and down. Come back up to star, lowering your arms to shoulder height. We're going to pivot our feet to the left and come into warrior two. So with warrior two, just going to come into a lunge position where your left knee is over your left ankle. You can see your toes. And for your back foot, try to create as much length as you can in your lunge. So your back foot's as far back as it can. Maybe your feet are lined up with your wrists. And with warrior two, it's a strength pose. We're going to try to be light with it. So just don't try to dig down into the mat with it. Just kind of try to tell your body, kind of stay light and playful with this warrior. Eyes are gazing at our left fingertips. And just try to bring lightness to this pose. And then we're going to straighten our front leg. We send our left fingertips forward and then down into triangle pose. So you slide down your leg. Right arm is up toward the sky. And you can send your gaze up to your right hand if that's comfortable. And then we'll come back up to warrior two. Again, have it be light and lively. And then we're going to bring our left forearm down to our left thigh for extended side angle. Right hand goes straight up into the sky. And then we're going to make circles with our right hand. So send your right hand toward your back foot and then bring it around, sending it toward the front of the mat and then back up again. Create some windmills here. So that's one. We'll do three. So sending it to the back of the mat, sweeping it down, over to the front of the mat and up. And one last time, toward the back, down, toward the front, and then back up, straight up. And then bring your right hand to the mat, put on your back foot, coming into runner's lunge. We bring our right foot up to meet with our left foot, coming into forward fold, and then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead, hands to heart center. And we'll do that all on the other side. So sweeping our hands up, stretching up to the sky, bringing our hands down to the mat. Inhale, bring our hands to our shins, half forward fold. Then hands come back down to the mat, coming into plank pose. We'll back up a little bit. And then either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Come down to the mat, elbows tucked to the sides. And then come up, lift your chin, chest. Gently push down your hands up to cobra. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips up to downward dog. Pedal out here. And then you can walk your feet up to your hands or just send your left foot up between your Hands coming into a runner's lunge, and then bring your right foot alongside of it. We'll both be in forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up. Oh, I did it again, overhead. Hands come to heart center. And we'll do that again. Sweeping our hands all the way up. Exhale, coming down to the mat. Inhale, half forward fold, nice flat back. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Sending both feet to the back of the mat, coming into plank. And then lowering down, chaturanga, or knees, chest, chin. Lifting the chin and the chest, gently pushing down, coming into cobra. And then tucking our toes under, lifting the hips up to downward dog. And then walking your feet, or sending your left foot up between your hands. Then send your right foot up, both meeting in forward fold. And then half forward fold, hands on the shins, nice flat back. Hands back down to the mat, and sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together, palms come to heart center. And one last time, sweeping our hands all the way up overhead, really stretch it to the sky. And then sending our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Half forward fold, hands on the shins. And then hands back down to the mat, stepping back into downward dog. Stepping back into plank. And then lowering to the mat, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. And then coming up into cobra. Tucking the toes under, lifting the hips up to the sky for downward dog. Pedal out here for a moment. And then either walk or send your left foot up between your hands. And then sending your right foot up to meet it. In forward fold. And then bringing our hands to our shins, flattening the back. And then hands back down to the mat. Then sweeping them all the way up overhead. Hands come together, hands come to heart center. And then now you can open up to the left side, or whichever side works best for you. Coming into wide-legged stance again. Toes are pointing toward the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in at a 45-degree angle. We'll sweep our arms up into a star shape. And then bring our arms down, bent elbows. Sending our hips down toward the mat, coming into goddess. And then we're going to lift our left foot up, left heel up rather, and send it back down. Lift the right heel up, send it back down, and then lift both heels up and send them back down. Again on the left heel up, back down, right heel up, back down, both heels up, back down. One last time, left heel up, back down, right heel up, back down, both heels up, up, back down. And then we're gonna come back up to the star, send our arms down till they're at shoulder height, and pivot our feet to the right this time, coming into warrior two. Again, the front leg, knee would be over the ankle, but with your back foot, try to create a lot of space between your front and back feet. Really stretching out this pose. and trying to make it light and playful. We'll turn our gaze to our right fingertips and just enjoy the strength of this pose for a moment. Just scooch around and just dance in it a little bit. And then we'll straighten out our front leg, stretch our right fingertips forward, and then down into triangle pose. Sliding down, lifting our gaze up to our left hand. And then coming back up to warrior two. And then we'll take our right forearm down to our right thigh, sending the left hand straight up to the sky, and do a little windmill action on this side. So we're going to have the left hand straight up, and then send it to the back of the mat, and then down, circle it around to the front, and then back up. Do that 2 more times, circling it down to the back, down toward the mat, and then toward the front, and up. And one last time, big circle, down, and then to the front, and then back up, straight up to the sky. And then we'll bring our left hand all the way down to the mat, pivoting on our back foot, coming into runner's lunge. We'll bring our left foot up to join the right foot in a nice forward fold, and then sweep our hands all the way up to the sky. Palms come together, and palms come to heart center. Well done. We're going to bring our pinky toes to the edges of the mat. And the heels are tucked in about 45 degrees. Palms come to your heart center, Anjali Mudra. And then we'll lower our hips down toward the mat, sending our torso between our legs. Bringing our elbows to the inner knee. And then again, if you'd like to a little more stretch, you could send that Anjali Mudra, your hands in the prayer pose, down closer to the mat. You feel that gentle nudge, push against the inner part of your knees. Just stretching out a little bit more. And then we'll bring our hips down to the mat, and we'll slowly roll down to the mat, or roll down on the mat. You can have your knees bent or straight, or do the express. I'm going to have my knees bent this morning and slowly roll down so that I feel each vertebrae as I go down. And once I've landed, I'm going to bring my knees to my chest. Give them a nice hug. Rock back and forth, giving the lower back a nice gentle massage. And then with my interlaced fingers, I'm going to bring those behind my head so that my elbows are pointing out to each side. Shoulder blades are nice and snug in the mat. I'm going to bring my left foot down to the mat. Knee is pointing up to the sky. And then I'm going to send my right foot up to the sky. And I'm going to bring my in a spastic way, I'm going to make circles with my toes. I, this is something you could do to amuse yourself, see how good a circle you can make, and mine's are very, very spastic. It's like a zigzag circle. But just try to clockwise rotate your foot and your ankle, making circles with your toes. And then we're going to lower, keeping our foot flexed, lower the heel of our right foot down toward the mat. Slowly with control, navel's tucked to the spine to kind of support that movement. And once it lands on the mat, you can send it back up slowly again with control. Nice even flow. And you can make circles again. Maybe as time goes on, doing this, our circles will get a little bit better. And again, flex your foot and slowly lower the heel to the mat. With control. And once your heel touches the mat, you can bring it right back up slowly with control. Just feel it in your leg and in the core. And then one last circle with your foot. And then again, flex your foot, lowering your heel to the mat ever so slowly with control. And then once it touches the mat, you can send it right back up slowly. Bring it back up. And then bring both knees to your chest. You can release your hands, give them a nice hug. Maybe rock a little bit. And then we'll do that on the other side. So again, bring your interlaced fingers behind your head. Elbows are out. Shoulder blades are nice and snug in the mat. Bring the right foot down on the mat and the knees pointing up to the sky. And then we'll send the left foot up. And here we go for our next amusement, trying to make circles with our left foot. And and you can like do clockwise and then counterclockwise, whatever works for you. Maybe you find that one way rather than the other is a little bit more circular. And then we'll flex our foot up to the sky and slowly lower the heel down to the mat. Once the heel touches, you can send it right back up ever so slowly. Navel's tucked to the spine. And once it reaches, with the sole of the foot reaching toward the sky, you can make your circles. Maybe try the other direction this time. Counterclockwise. Oh, that's not any better. And then flexing your foot up to the sky. We're going to lower the heel again, all the way down to the mat. Slowly and gently. Floating it down. Once it hits the mat, you can send it right back up again with control. And then make some more circles. And then flex your foot again to the sky and slowly lower your heel for the last time. Just go slowly, feeling it all along in your body. And your foot flexed. The heel touches, come back up. Raising that sole of your foot up to the sky. And one last set of circles. And then bring both knees to your chest. And give them a nice hug. Release your hands, help with that hug. I'm going to set both feet on the mat. And they'll be about hip width apart, maybe just a little bit more, but not as far as the edges of the mat. Just maybe a little bit more than your width of your hips. We'll do some windshield wipers. So you can either have your hands in back of your head again, if you like, or alongside you, palms down, kind of supporting you. Whatever feels good to help you with this. And with the windshield wipers, you're going to move the knees from side to side, from right side onto the mat or floor, all the way back up again, and then all the way over to the other side. And we'll just do that in a nice, even flow. So again, you can synchronize your breath to the sides. And we'll try to make it a nice flow. I'm going to lower it to the right and then all the way up, over to the left. I'll let you choose your pace on this. Synchronize your breath with the movement. Just kind of try to come up with a nice companion breath and movement. Windshield wipers are a great pose, name of a pose for the month of March. It's not raining, it's having mud splattered on the windshield. Gently wipe that off. Keep going, right? And then we'll come back to center and send our feet all the way down to the bottom of the mat. Prepare for Shavasana. You send your heels out to each corner of the mat and just let your feet relax. This is a restorative pose. So it's inviting you to just relax and release your muscles, your bones, any tension. You can just maybe do a body scan starting with your foot or your feet and to your ankles, releasing tension there, to your knees, to your hips, shoulders. Important part, make sure they're just really relaxed and sunk down into the mat. Up to your head, make sure your face is just relaxed. Maybe turn the corners of your mouth up to a gentle smile. Arms out to the side at an angle, palms facing up. And just let the nutrients of today's practice soak in you. And today I'm actually ending with a meditation, a guided meditation for spring. And you're invited to stay in the Shavasana pose, or if you like, you can gently make your way back up to a seated position, if that is your preferred meditation pose. It's up to you, whatever you'd like. And we'll start by gently closing our eyes. Inhale deeply through your nose. Exhale deeply through your nose. Slowly and gently take 3 deep breaths. With your eyes closed, you are enveloped in darkness. You feel secure and safe. Off in the distance, you start to see a golden glow emerge as the sun starts to rise over a hill. Watch it rise, sending bright sunbeams to the ground and to you. You enjoy the warmth of the sun. Birds migrating north fly overhead, their wings dancing in a gentle wind. You admire their strength and lightness. The birds flock to the branches of a nearby cherry tree, dormant and laden with last year's fruit. They excitedly chitter about finding today's nourishment. You listen to their joy. Inhale deeply through your nose. You smell the awakening of spring, the rain, the wet soil, the sweet air. Exhale deeply through your mouth, releasing a long sigh. You allow your mind, body, and spirit to soften. Now turn down the path towards home. When you reach the door, open it and enter. Prepare yourself a cup of your favorite tea and sip it slowly. You savor each and every moment of your day. You may now open your eyes.